Well, good morning everyone. Welcome to another Voice Essentials live hangout. I hope you can join me for the next, what tends to be around about, I aimed for it to be 20 minutes or so, but it always ends up being that little bit longer because I do love to answer your questions, and we are going to do that at the end of today's show. But today I am really excited because I've got one of our subscribers here on Voice Essentials, here on YouTube, has been brave enough and willing enough to throw his hat in the ring, and we're going to do a live song review, and so I'm hoping you'll stick around. I've got some comments that I'm going to make about Martin's voice and his performance. We're going to watch his video here during the show, and it's going to be an opportunity for you to make some comments as well. So please stick around while we do that, and then make sure you leave your questions during the show because, as you know, I love to answer your questions all here during the live hangout. So yeah, settle in. Let's spend the next 30 minutes or so together talking about singing.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
Yeah, so today is a really exciting day. I love reviewing students' performances, and as I said, we're going to be reviewing Martin's. Now, Martin is a singer from the Philippines, and he has been good enough to send through a video of one of his performances or recordings of a Mariah Carey piece, Lead the Way from memory, and so we're going to have a look at that in a moment. But before we do, let me just tell you, I do want to draw your attention, and I've put a link in the notes sections below. Let me just jump over here. I do want to draw your attention to this. This is my blog page, and for those of you who have never been to the blog page before, the blog, I write generally around about once a month. I'll write a post, and the most recent post, I do want to draw your attention to it because I think it will be of great interest to many of you. I've made some very pointed comments about TV talent shows, and I know many of you watch the shows, and some of you have considered auditioning. Some of you have auditioned for TV talent shows, and so I've written a blog post here that just talks about TV talent shows, and as you can see, if we go all the way down, it's already received quite a bit of interest, 37 shares already. I do want to draw your attention to it. There's a link in the description section below. Please make sure you go and check it out, have a read of it after the show, and I think you'll find that really interesting. I also want to draw your attention to this. For some of you haven't seen this yet or participated in it. It's my 7 Days to a Better Voice, and this is a completely 100% free program, voice program. It is an email-based program. You put in your email address here, and you just basically fill out all your details. Well, you put your name in there. Then you fill out your details. Then you hit start. And for the next 7 days, I will send you a full lesson. It's got videos, it's got worksheets, it's got a whole range of stuff, and I think you'll enjoy participating in that. It's completely free. There's no obligations. And for those of you who already own the exercise CD, you'll also find that it's really handy to have as you're doing the 7 days, what I refer to as a vocal detox, because it works through a whole heap of exercises on that CD. And so make sure you check it out. So if you just go to 7 days to a bettervoice.com, there is again links in the notes sections below. Okay, here we go. Where am I going? I'm going to go back over here. So make sure you leave your comments as well. Start writing your questions down. I can see, whoa, we've already got, look at this. This is always crazy. I always find this amazing how many of you have already jumped on. It's good to see you. Make sure you let me know where you're from, and let everyone else know where you're from. Anything is from the Philippines too. Well, you're about to see one of your countrymen have a sing, which is great. And make sure you're writing your questions down. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what the weather is like. Let me show you what the weather is like here in Brisbane, Australia. And you can see it's a little bit overcast. And can I just send out a message of concern? And here in Australia, we've just had, certainly in Queensland, we've just had a massive weather event, a massive cyclone, Category 4 cyclone called Debbie. And Debbie wreaked absolute havoc across the northern reaches of Australia. And in doing so, she has she blew apart parts of Australia. In fact, actually, the centre of it went right across where one of my students lives, and I'll see her hopefully online this week, and in a place called Airlie Beach, and it's absolutely decimated that area. So I'm hoping I get to see her and check that she's okay. But in doing so, it then turned to a tropical low. It's come all the way down the coast, and we've had massive floods in all sorts of, and just wreaking all sorts of havoc across the eastern seaboard of Australia. So if you are watching now, or if you're watching the future and you've been caught up in the floods, we are thinking of you, and we hope you're safe. Please stay out of flood waters. If it's flooded, forget it. It's the old Australian advertising campaign. Please be safe. So just wanted to say that to all of my Australian subscribers, especially those of you who have been caught up in these, the cyclone and the floods. It's been terrible. But anyway, let's get on with the rest of the show. What we're going to do is I'm going to play this performance by our friend Martin, and I'm going to play the full 3 minutes. I want you to have a listen carefully. It's actually a really nice performance. You'll notice we did talk about it when Martin first sent it through. You'll notice there's a slight delay in the way the audio is synced to the video, and that can happen sometimes when you dump the video down, and Martin was not able to get that quite right. But rest assured, it is Martin singing, and you'll see that, and he hasn't auto-tuned it. You'll hear that at the end. It's a real proper, what I love, authentic recording. It's real. It's not being doctored to within a hilt. It's got a little bit of reverb on it, which just gives it that pleasant kind of sound. But beyond that, watch it. Now, in the comments section, please be kind. We are not a community of people that are looking to shoot each other down and to rip each other apart. I'm going to make some critical reflection on the performance once we've heard him do it. But beyond that, we want to be supportive. We want to be encouraging. And Martin is brave enough to put himself forward. And later on, I'll talk to you about how you can participate in having one of these live reviews done for you also, so that people all over the world get to see your piece. But without further ado, let's have a listen to Martin's performance.
We would fall and land together.
What we need to do before we do it, because I've stuffed up, Martin, you'll have to forgive me. What we need to do is make sure that starts in the right spot, which would be good. Let me just make sure that happens for Martin, because I do want to remember, make sure that Martin doesn't get, we don't only hear half of that. Hopefully this is going to have it right back at the beginning.
The way I'd given up hope, losing the faith that love could be mine to treasure. And now nothing's the same. I found myself reborn on the day I met you. And if we move closer, then love will take over and lead
So there you go. Really well done performance by Martin, and again I want to say thank you to Martin for saying that, for putting himself forward, and I can see already some comments coming through from a few people there. So let's talk about it. Martin, you've got a lovely voice, and there's some really positive things going on here, and what the comments that I'm going to make are hopefully going to be, specific enough to your voice, but generic enough for all of us who are watching this live broadcast and who are watching it after the live broadcast to get some value out of it and to really, understand some stuff with that. So let's quickly talk about it now. So the melisma, what I often say to my students is I like to, now his melisma, which is, all over the place, is to an extent stylistically correct. R&B, especially pop R&B, has the hey, and it's all over the shop. What I like to do with my students is to pair that right back. I like to hear the student be able to sing the melody in a singular, straight line without all of the fluff before they then add the melody. Because what often can happen is the melisma, that riff and run, that all over the shop, can actually mask our need to work on our overall tone. And so what I like to do is strip it all back and then develop a really clean and consistent core tone. Yeah, so that we're not just listening to hey, hey, and it's all just breathy and it doesn't have a full clean core tone. And so what you can do with this particular melody is actually do it on an NG to find that core tone. And have a nice core tone that you then build around. And it's only once you've got the core tone that you're able to really fully develop the sound. Yeah, if you don't have a good clean core tone, now let me just explain a little bit more about what I mean by core tone. Core tone, when I talk about core tone, it's the very thing that your audience's ear is going to be able to lock onto. If you don't have a really distinguished core tone, a sound that not just the signature of your tone, but a clean core tone that the ear can orientate to, it means that the ear of your audience has to work longer. Now, over one song, that's not going to be a big deal, but if you don't have a really established core tone and you're doing a full set, maybe you're doing multiple sets in a night, then your audience will tire. They won't know why they're tiring, but their ears will have to work harder because they've kind of got to follow the sound, and it can be a little bit hard for them to do. And so establishing that really clean core tone comes from, you can do it with an NG and to get that really cleaner sort of sound. And also it helps to establish a little bit more of a better forward placement. And just to draw your attention to the fact that I have actually placed some links in the description section below to some videos that I think will be helpful in the discussion that we're having today. The other thing, and you may have noticed that there was a challenge with Martin's breath management towards the end of some of his phrases. And so what was happening is we were starting to get to the point where where we've run the race of the song, we're getting to the end of the race, the voice is becoming a little bit more laboured, it's a little bit harder for the voice to keep up, and it tempts everything into a high breath. Instead of, and I'll take us over to this camera here so that we can see. So instead of actually making sure that we've got good release, yeah? If we don't get good release, if we suddenly are finding ourselves constantly tempted to breathe high, then what's going to happen is not only are you not going to get enough breath because you can't get enough air when you're breathing high, you'll also be challenged because that high breath will also have this tendency to create tightness and constriction. And so good breath management is not just about having enough air and being able to be able to travel the air across the phrase, but it's also about tension management. It's keeping the larynx free and keeping the muscles from wanting to lock down because the larynx is being tempted into rationing the air. And so that's really important when you're talking about breath management in a song like this. And when you're using an aspirated tone, and I didn't have any problem with the aspirated tone that we heard Martin using. In fact, I thought it was quite stylistically correct. I would have liked to heard, as I said, a little bit more core tone involved. But when we're using that slightly aspirated tone, and in one of the videos that I've linked us to below, where we talk about ambient tone in the video, it's kind of got, it's not a it's it's sort of got, you can hear there's a bit more clarity to the tone. There's a breathiness to it, and it has a mixed voice quality. And again, there's a video to the mixed voice video, a link to the mixed voice video below as well. And that's actually quite a stylistically appropriate kind of tone to be using, that mixed voice sound, especially when we're talking Mariah Carey. You can get that really light sort of ambient tone, which lends itself really well to melisma, the riffs and runs. And let me make this really clear. When I said earlier that I would prefer to him to the way we would workshop this song is to sing the notes straight, sing the melody straight before adding the melisma in. The melisma does need to be there to be stylistically correct. However, what we want to avoid is the need for it to become the habit. We don't want the voice to rely on melisma to cover all of its sins. And then one final thing, something that I think Martin can work on and something all of us here at home can work on, is towards the end we started to see a lot of jaw tension. And we got this really, tight jaw. And so I do want you to be careful. I've just realized just to point out, I am wearing headphones. The reason I was wearing headphones is so I could listen along with you all at home, listen to the performance of his piece. So I'd want to reduce that sort of jaw tension, and the activity that we can use for that is just to sing the hair. Take the jaw out of the activity. It's not that the jaw is not allowed to move. It's just that I would want to reduce its amount of tightness and gripping, which can be as a result of poor breath management, it must be said, because it's creating structure down the larynx to hold the air back, because the larynx is having to do the work of your breath management. So there are some things to think about. I do apologize that we didn't get to hear the very beginning of that video. It's because my technical skills stuffed up a little bit there, so apologies to Martin, but we got to hear a good portion of the piece nonetheless. So please leave a thumbs up if you've enjoyed, the idea of doing these live song reviews. We've done a few in the past, but this is the first time I've sort of ever done it in this mode. And I'd love for you to leave a thumbs up on the video. And also encourage Martin in your comments. And in fact, we're going to go across to our comments now, because what I want to do is have a good look at your questions, and make sure you're leaving your questions in the comment sections below, because as a part of this show, we do like to do live Q&A, and we've got a few moments to do just that. So where have we got here? Let me come down. Sarah G, you finally got you got on here live. That's great. It's good to have you along. And that's a very nice comment. Thank you. I think you're awesome as well. Okay. Cebu, anything? So anything, you're from Philippines too. So I don't know where Cebu is in the Philippines, but that's all good. From Italy. Hey, Andrea. That's good to see you again. Okay. Okay, let's go to James's question here. This one just here, I think I've got up here. Hey, just wondering, I haven't sung successfully in a while, and I'm looking to get my voice very strong again. What do you suggest doing to get my voice a lot stronger again for a 2-hour concert? Great question. So let's briefly talk about that. So really, it's the best way to approach that, James, is you need to put yourself into an exercise regime. What you need to do is start thinking about, okay, you've said in the next comment that the gig is in a month. So you need to start mapping out, okay, I've got a month to get the voice ready. The mistake that many people would make would be, I'm now going to sing every day for the next 28 days. For the next 4 weeks, I'm going to sing every day and get my voice up and running. Do not do that. It's really important, especially given that you've got a month, that you pace yourself. And there is a video across on the Voice Essentials YouTube channel, and that you can have a look. Go looking for Slow and Steady, I think is the thumbnail, about vocal pacing. And it's important that you get the voice up and running. So the first week, I reckon you would want to practice every second day. The second week, I would want to see, and the first week would be every second day for about 30 minutes. The next week, I would want to see you add, so do it 5 days in the week, and I'd want to see you do about an hour. But I would want to see you do half exercise, half reps. So you're warming the voice using the technical work and then get into the repertoire. And then in the third week, you would be starting to lean more, always doing a 10-15 minute vocal warm-up, not using repertoire, using the exercises. And you can use the exercise CD, Dr. Dan's Voice Essentials. You can download that on the site and just use the first half of the CD just to warm the voice, get it ready, and then start working your show. And then the last 2 weeks, the third and the fourth week, you would be doing, 5 to 6 times a week, you would be exercising and starting to run your 2-hour show. Now, the 2-hour show, I dare say you're not, I'd like to think you are not doing that as one full 2-hour set, that you've got a 10 or 15 minute break in the middle. But certainly is the way you're going to practice it, is do a 10-minute warm-up, 10-15 minute warm-up using the exercise CD, and then do your songs from the first set, and then take a 20-minute break. You can do some light humming during the break, but virtually try to do no exercises and no singing, and just take a break, have a cup of tea or something, and then come back and do the next set. And I would want to see you be able to do that for 2 weeks in the lead up to the show, so that you are in the mode physically and you've built the voice up. And really a month should be more than enough to get you going with that, James. So I hope that helps. Have you seen any Tasmanian Devils, me Tutu? I actually have, and they, the Walt Disney, was it Warner Brothers version of the Tasmanian Devils is far more interesting than they are in real life. They're an interesting animal, and so yes, I have, but not in the wild, it must be said. Mostly in zoos here in Australia, but they do tend to be a pretty normal attraction, just like kangaroos. And for those of you who are wondering, we do not have kangaroos jumping down our main streets, typically in Australia. Okay, I know this isn't related to the song review, but how much do you charge for vocal evaluations and voice lessons via Skype? From Matt. For those of you who are interested in online singing lessons, there is a link in the description section below. Click on it. It will take you to all the information about my singing lessons online. And for those of you who are interested internationally, for example, I just got off a lesson before I jumped on live with you guys. I just finished a 1-hour session, or a 50-minute session they are, with a student in, I think she's in California, in the US. So I teach people from all over the world, and all of the information is down there. And the performance analysis you'll find listed on the online store, and again there is a link to the website down below, so you can check that all out in your own time. Let's go down here. Yeah, and some really positive feedback there for Martin too. I think it's fabulous. John, let's keep going. I agree, Linda. It's not easy to pull off Mariah Carey. I would go as far as to say I don't think Mariah Carey pulls off Mariah Carey very well anymore. She's definitely not the singer, in my humble opinion, that she used to be, that we became enamored with during the 80s and the 90s. I think she's a shadow of her former self vocally. Okay. I'm coming down here. And I'm going to come down to Kathy. Oh, hello, Kathy. How are you? Nice to see you jumping on here. Can you please explain the difference between a female head voice and a vocal break like in yodel? So, a yodeling is, and I'm not a yodeler as you just hear, yodeling is actually purposefully distinguishing the register shift. Yeah, so when we go through our registers and we go, yeah, you can hear me moving from my lower register into my upper register. Yeah, you can hear the voice go light at the top there. What a yodeler does, instead of looking to smooth those transitions out, yeah, that transitional point, they actually accentuate it. They make it sound yeah, and they flip it. And it's actually, regardless of what you or I might think of it stylistically, technically it's actually a very difficult skill to master. And people who do it very well have got really clever ability to adjust their mechanism and have it flip in that way. And so it's a thing, you know, back in the tradition, in the tradition of the classical singing, we were very, very keen to see all singers smooth their transitions out. That's not the case any longer. With contemporary voice, whilst a lot of the time we are encouraging singers to be able to have a smooth movement of their transitions, not all genres want a smooth transition, and yodeling is a great example of a voice type, that or a genre that specifically doesn't want smooth transitions. They want that movement, that sideway move, that up and down movement, and so I can't yodel, Kathy, but hopefully that describes it for you. So can you demonstrate? We're going to go for one more question here, because we've nearly run out of time. Can you explain, me too, can you demonstrate head voice and falsetto in males? Okay, so when I'm going up through, and head voice, which is what I typically refer to as upper register. The upper register in males, if we're thinking about voice as being 4 distinct registers, let me just go back over here for us. When I think about my voice in 4 registers, pulse register, which was the lowest, lower, upper, and falsetto for males, flute for women. When we think of it in those 4 layers, in men, more often than not, the upper register is a relatively underdeveloped registration, in the sense that men typically want to go straight from lower register, or in a short and a dominant speech chest voice type of sound, and flip straight into their falsetto. And in doing so, they kind of miss their upper register, and in doing so miss the colouring of upper register also. And it it's like removing, a primary color from your palette if you're a painter. And so what I like to really do is see male singers develop that better ability to move through that register and not just skip over it. It's a bit like going from four gear gearbox to going from second gear to fourth gear and missing third gear. And so when we're going through, if we're just going ya, we can hear falsetto in the top, ya, that's my upper register, and you can hear the voice coming back into the lower register. And you can, basically, some people make the mistake of calling it mix, remembering that the coloring of the register is not really, how do I make this so that it doesn't get too confusing in the short time that we have left? Mix is not a register. It's not a registration. And I know there's some confusing information online. Mix is the way you manage the muscles as you move through your full range. And so lower, upper, and falsetto refers to that movement through the range, and then we color it depending. So we generally have a shortener or a chest in lower, but we can also have chest in our upper range as well. Hope that's not blowing our speakers. Yeah. Okay. So if we come back down, you can hear me maintaining the lengthener dominance, the head voice sound into my lower register. And in my voice being tenor, it gets really quite breathy and what have you. And so you can use a mix registration throughout. So you can hear that balancing. I'm trying to manage the voice. I'm doing this all off the cuff here, but I'm trying to manage that sound between the two worlds of that heavier sound, that chest kind of sound, and that heady kind of sound, and we call it mix. Importantly, remembering that it's not a register, it's simply the way we're managing the registers and the colouring of that. I hope that's clear, and I hope that that answers your questions. Okay, well, I hope that has been a helpful show for you today. I want to once again say thank you to Martin for sending his live review in. Now, if you want to get a live review, all you need to do is email me at in fact, all of the instructions are in the video below, in the description section below. And if you want to have your video reviewed live here on one of the live shows, the live hangouts that we do together, at least I try to do them once a week, then you just email me and we will converse, and you send me the track, and then dependent on where I feel the track is, and if I feel it's ready to be able to be put up in front of everyone, then certainly we do that. Now, I'm not looking for perfection, and we could hear that Martin's voice has some work to do, as we all do. We all have work to do. So I'm not looking for perfection, but equally, I want you to be in a place where, people aren't going to find, some nasty comments can't be made, because we want to be a really positive, encouraging group here at Voice Essentials. And anywho, so I guess what I'm saying is there's no definite that you will, definitely make it on, but you can email me, we can have a look at the track, and we go back and forth like that. I hope that has been a helpful show today. I've got a student in a few moments, so I better sign off. If you've enjoyed the show, hit the thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed before, we would love for you to subscribe to the channel and join our ever-growing community here at Voice Essentials. If you don't want to miss the next live show, make sure you hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button, because that is where you will be notified by YouTube when I go live. That was a big show. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. I've enjoyed myself. It's been wonderful to have Martin's song on. Thank you for leaving all of your questions. And, share these videos with your friends and your family, those people who sing, who you think would benefit from not only the live shows, but the shows we do every Thursday. And this week, ladies, please take specific notice of this. This is a very specific topic for women. We are going to be talking about premenstrual voice syndrome. For those of you, some of you ladies, your voice suffers during your menstrual cycle. And so I've got a video coming out 5 a.m. this Thursday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, that I know you are going to want to watch. Girls, guys, you can still watch it. It'll be educational, but it is very specifically targeted at our female subscribers. So please be sure to tune in then, and hopefully I'll see you live again next week, which will be just before Easter, won't it? We will have another live show together. Until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, regardless of whether it's live or otherwise, my name is Dr. Dan. Sing well.